11 Things I Quit After Turning 60, A Journey Towards a More Fulfilling Life. As we journey through life, particularly after reaching significant milestones like the age of 60, it becomes increasingly clear that our time is precious, and how we choose to spend it can greatly influence our happiness, health, and overall well-being. For many, this period marks a time of reflection, reassessment, and intentional change. The habits, commitments, and priorities we have held dear in our younger years may no longer serve us in this new phase of life. In fact, for many older adults, letting go of certain things can lead to a deeper sense of fulfillment and peace. Here are 11 profound and transformative things I quit after turning 60, and why doing so has enriched my life in ways I couldn't have imagined. 1. Quitting work for the sake of working. In our younger years, it's common to get swept up in the grind of working long hours, driven by the desire to climb the career ladder or secure financial stability. However, after turning 60, I realized that working purely for the sake of being busy or out of habit no longer served me. The constant hustle took a toll on my physical and mental health, leaving me feeling drained and disconnected from the things that truly mattered. As we age, the desire to overextend ourselves for productivity often loses its allure. The wisdom gained through years of experience teaches us that more hours of work does not necessarily mean more fulfillment or success. The endless pursuit of productivity, especially without a meaningful purpose, can easily erode the quality of life. Now, I approach work with intention. I ask myself, why am I working these extra hours? What purpose does it serve? If the work isn't contributing to a meaningful goal or passion, I choose to step back. Time spent simply enjoying life, pursuing hobbies, or spending quality moments with loved ones is far more valuable than endless hours behind a desk. This shift has brought a renewed sense of balance and fulfillment into my life. I no longer chase financial gain at the expense of personal well-being. Moreover, I have embraced the idea that true wealth in our later years is not measured by our bank accounts, but by the richness of our experiences, the depth of our relationships, and the peace we find within ourselves. 2. Quitting mindless spending. In our consumer-driven society, it's easy to fall into the trap of spending money on things we don't really need. For years, I've bought items out of habit or because I thought they would bring me happiness. But as I've aged, I've realized that material possessions rarely offer lasting fulfillment. Mindless spending often stems from the desire to fill an emotional void or keep up with societal expectations. We buy things to make ourselves feel better, only to realize that the satisfaction is fleeting. Now, I spend mindfully. I only purchase things that truly add value to my life or bring me genuine joy, whether it's an experience that enriches my soul or a product that improves my quality of life. This shift has not only helped me save financially, but it has also made me more aware of what truly matters. 3. Quitting stressing over the small stuff. Life is too short to spend it worrying about things that ultimately don't matter. In my younger days, I would get worked up over minor inconveniences, traffic jams, disagreements with colleagues, or even something as trivial as a miscommunication. As I entered my 60s, I realized that many of the things I had once stressed over were insignificant in the grand scheme of life. I began to ask myself, will this matter a year from now? If the answer was no, I let it go. Worrying about things outside of my control only drained my energy and robbed me of the joy of the present moment. Now, I've learned to let go. I focus on what I can control and accept what I cannot. This mindset shift has been liberating, allowing me to approach life's challenges with a calmer, more grounded perspective. 4. Quitting neglecting self-care. For much of my life, self-care felt like a luxury rather than a necessity. I prioritized work, family, and other responsibilities over my own well-being, thinking that by constantly giving to others, I was doing the right thing. But over time, I realized that neglecting my own needs left me feeling drained and unfulfilled. Turning 60 was a recap call. I began to understand that self-care is not selfish. It's essential. It's about nurturing my mind, body, and spirit so that I can show up as my best self in all areas of life. I started by making small changes. First, I prioritized sleep and created a bedtime routine that allowed me to wind down and get quality rest. Next, I focused on nutrition, becoming more mindful of what I ate, choosing foods that fueled my body rather than drained it. Exercise also became a cornerstone of my routine, not as a chore but as a way to celebrate what my body can do. Mental and emotional self-care were equally important. I discovered the power of meditation and mindfulness, which helped me stay present and reduce stress. Journaling became a way to process my thoughts and emotions, giving me clarity and perspective. Most importantly, I learned to set boundaries. I stopped overcommitting and started saying no to things that didn't serve me. This allowed me to create space for the things that truly bring me joy, spending time in nature, connecting with loved ones, and pursuing hobbies that light me up. By prioritizing self-care, I found a renewed sense of energy and purpose. I realized that when I take care of myself, I can give more fully to others. Self-care isn't about indulgence, it's about sustainability. It's about honoring myself and recognizing that I am worthy of care and attention. Self-care for me is now a non-negotiable part of life. It's a daily commitment to showing up for myself so that I can continue to show up for the people and things I love. 5. Quitting overcommitting to others. For many years, I had a tendency to overcommit to others. I said yes to invitations, events, and favors, even when I didn't truly want to, driven by a fear of disappointing people or not meeting others' expectations. I constantly tried to be the reliable friend, family member, or colleague, always putting others' needs ahead of my own. While this was often motivated by good intentions, I eventually realized that it came at the cost of my own well-being. After turning 60, I learned the importance of saying no, something that had previously felt difficult for me. I realized that my time is precious and that I have the right to choose how I spend it. Saying no doesn't mean being selfish or unkind. It simply means being mindful of where I direct my energy. The more I practiced saying no, the more empowered I felt. I began to recognize that I could prioritize my own needs without guilt. This shift allowed me to focus on the relationships and activities that truly mattered to me. I stopped saying yes out of obligation and instead began to commit to things and people who truly added value to my life. This change has had a profound impact on my sense of balance and happiness. By cutting out the commitments that didn't align with my values or bring me joy, I created more space for the things that did. I had more time to relax, reflect, and engage in activities that nourish my soul. I also realized that by setting healthy boundaries, I am able to show up more fully for the people I care about. I'm no longer stretched thin, constantly running on empty. I can be present and offer my time and energy in a way that is sustainable. Learning to say no was one of the most empowering shifts I made in my 60s. It has allowed me to reclaim my time, my energy, and ultimately my happiness. 6. Quitting maintaining unhealthy relationships. For much of my life, I believed in maintaining relationships simply out of habit or obligation, whether they were with friends, colleagues, or even family members. I often held on to connections that no longer brought me joy or fulfillment. These relationships, while once meaningful, had become draining, and I realized I was keeping them alive because I felt obligated, not because they enriched my life. Turning 60 brought a shift in my perspective. I realized that life is too short to spend time and energy on relationships that no longer serve my well-being. I began to let go of people who were toxic, draining, or disrespectful, and I stopped tolerating connections that didn't nurture or uplift me. This process wasn't easy. Some of these relationships had lasted for years, and letting go meant acknowledging the emotional weight they carried. However, I understood that maintaining unhealthy relationships was like carrying unnecessary baggage on a long journey. It slowed me down, exhausted me, and kept me from moving forward. I made a conscious choice to focus on the people who truly added value to my life, those who offered love, support, respect, and understanding. I began to nurture the relationships that brought me joy, peace, and a sense of belonging. Letting go of unhealthy relationships has been freeing. It's allowed me to surround myself with people who genuinely care for and uplift me. The energy I once invested in trying to maintain relationships out of obligation is now devoted to deeper, more meaningful connections. This shift has brought greater authenticity to my life. I no longer feel the need to please everyone or force myself to fit into relationships that aren't mutually beneficial. Instead, I am focused on cultivating bonds that are rooted in mutual respect, love, and shared values. Turning 60 taught me the importance of quality over quantity in relationships. By releasing the ones that no longer serve me, I've created space for those that bring me true fulfillment. 7. Quitting neglecting my physical and mental health. For much of my life, I prioritized work, family, and other responsibilities over my health. Like many people, I convinced myself that I would focus on my well-being later when things slowed down or when I had more time. But turning 60 made me realize that later had arrived, and neglecting my health was no longer an option. The phrase, "health is wealth," may sound cliché, but it holds undeniable truth, especially as we age. Good health is the foundation of a fulfilling life. Without it, even the simplest joys can be out of reach. I had spent too many years focusing on everything except my own health, but now I understand that taking care of my physical and mental well-being is essential for truly enjoying life. I started by incorporating regular exercise into my routine. Something as simple as daily morning walks has become a ritual that keeps me physically active and mentally clear. Walking outdoors gives me the chance to connect with nature, clear my mind, and reflect on my life. It also combats the natural decline in muscle mass and mobility that comes with age. Beyond physical health, I realized the importance of mental well-being. I began to practice mindfulness, meditation, and gratitude regularly. These practices have become vital in managing stress, staying present, and appreciating the beauty of everyday life. By nurturing my mind as well as my body, I've been able to find greater peace and emotional balance. Prioritizing my health has given me the energy and vitality to live fully. I no longer feel drained or sluggish, and I've noticed a marked improvement in my mood, cognitive function, and overall quality of life. At 60, I learned that health isn't something to take for granted. It's a precious gift, and by taking care of it, I've opened the door to a vibrant, fulfilling life. This shift has been one of the most important changes I've made, and it's allowed me to fully embrace the opportunities that each new day brings. 8. Quitting procrastination on personal goals. As we grow older, time seems to slip by faster, and the goals and dreams we once had can feel like distant memories. For many years, I kept postponing personal projects or adventures, telling myself that I'd have more time later, but turning 60 was a wake-up call. I realized that waiting for the perfect moment could mean waiting forever, and that the moment was now. I stopped procrastinating and began taking action on the things I'd always wanted to do. Whether it was learning a new skill, traveling to a new place, or finally finishing a long-forgotten project, I committed myself to making the most of the time I had left. I no longer allowed myself to be paralyzed by the thought of finding the perfect time or the perfect conditions. Instead, I embraced the idea that the best time to start is always now. This shift in mindset has been liberating. I've started setting small, achievable goals that bring me closer to the life I want to live. Each goal, whether it's trying something new or simply completing a task I've put off for years, brings a sense of accomplishment and fulfillment. What I've learned is that life doesn't wait, and neither should we. Time moves faster as we age, but that doesn't mean we can't still pursue our dreams and goals. In fact, there's something incredibly motivating about realizing that every day counts. By taking action now, I've reignited my passion for life, learned to be more present in the moment, and stopped waiting for perfect conditions to start making progress on the things that matter most to me. This shift has brought new energy into my life and has reminded me that it's never too late to pursue what you truly desire. 9. Quitting the fear of change. Change is inevitable, and yet, for much of my life, I feared it. I clung to the familiar, even when it no longer served me, simply because stepping into the unknown felt too risky. I avoided change in my health, relationships, career, and even in my personal growth, fearing the discomfort that came with it. But as I entered my 60s, I began to realize that change isn't something to resist, it's something to embrace. Life is full of transitions, and each one offers an opportunity for growth and new experiences. I started to view change as an adventure, an invitation to evolve, learn, and adapt. Whether it was adjusting to changes in my health, relationships, or the circumstances around me, I learned to face them with curiosity rather than dread. Embracing change has been incredibly freeing. It's allowed me to shed old beliefs and habits that no longer serve me, and to welcome new possibilities with open arms. I no longer fear what's to come because I now understand that change is a natural part of life. As I embrace change, I discovered a renewed sense of excitement. It's like embarking on a new journey that offers fresh perspectives and opportunities one never anticipated. Change isn't something to fight against. It's an opportunity to grow, evolve, and experience life in a new way. At this stage in life, I've learned that change is nothing to fear. Instead, I now welcome it, knowing that it's an essential part of my personal evolution. It's helped me feel more alive, more adaptable, and more open to the possibilities that each day brings. 10. Quitting irregular sleep patterns. In my younger years, I took sleep for granted. I would often sacrifice rest for work, socializing, or late-night TV marathons, and I never truly understood the importance of sleep until I reached my 60s. At that point, I realized that poor sleep wasn't just affecting my physical health, but also my mood, my productivity, and my overall well-being. As we age, the importance of sleep becomes even more apparent. Sleep is the time when our bodies repair and rejuvenate, and without adequate rest, we simply cannot function at our best. I learned the hard way that neglecting sleep over the years had an impact I couldn't ignore any longer. Now, I've made it a priority to establish a regular sleep routine. I aim to go to bed early and wake up refreshed, ready to take on the day. Quality sleep has become a cornerstone of my self-care routine, and the difference it has made is profound. Since prioritizing sleep, I've noticed a significant improvement in my cognitive function, mood, and overall quality of life. I no longer wake up groggy or irritable, but instead, I start my days with energy and clarity. Sleep has given me the mental and physical rejuvenation I needed to make the most of my days. In addition to physical rest, I've also become more mindful of creating a peaceful environment that promotes relaxation. I avoid stimulants like caffeine or technology right before bed, and I practice relaxation techniques like deep breathing to wind down. This commitment to sleep has been a game changer. It's allowed me to feel more energized, more focused, and more engaged in life. I've learned that taking care of my sleep is as important as taking care of my physical health, and it's an investment in my overall well-being. 11. Quitting comparing myself to others. As I've aged, I've come to realize that comparison is the thief of joy. In my younger years, I frequently compared myself to others, whether it was in terms of career success, material possessions, or even physical appearance. This constant comparison led to feelings of inadequacy and dissatisfaction as I measured my worth against others' achievements and standards. But after turning 60, something shifted. I stopped looking at others for validation and began to appreciate the uniqueness of my own journey. I realized that everyone's path is different, and there's no single measure of success or happiness. What truly matters is how I view my own life and what I've accomplished on my terms. Letting go of the need to compare myself to others has been liberating. It has allowed me to appreciate my life for what it is, rather than what I thought it should be, based on someone else's accomplishments or lifestyle. I've learned to embrace my own journey with all its ups and downs, and to find joy in my own experiences. I've come to understand that each person's journey is unique, and the comparisons I once made were both unfair and unproductive. Comparing myself to others only robbed me of the satisfaction I could have gained from appreciating the beauty of my own path. Since I stopped comparing myself to others, I've found peace and contentment. I no longer feel inadequate or as though I'm missing out. Instead, I'm grateful for the life I've lived and the wisdom I've gained along the way. I've learned that my worth isn't defined by others, but by my own experiences and the person I become. This realization has brought me greater confidence and inner peace. I now live authentically, free from the pressure of measuring up to someone else's standards. And it's been one of the most empowering changes I've made in my later years, leaving me finally at peace with who I am. 20 items seniors can immediately declutter from every room for a clutter-free home. Ever walk into a room and feel overwhelmed by stuff you don't even use anymore? You're not alone. Studies show that clutter increases stress, makes daily tasks harder, and can even lead to anxiety and forgetfulness, especially as we age. But here's the good news. You don't have to tackle it all at once. Meet Helen. She's lived in the same cozy home for over 30 years, filling it with memories, keepsakes, and everything she thought she might need someday. But lately, her home feels less like a peaceful retreat and more like a cluttered storage unit. The closets are packed, the drawers won't close, and every surface seems to hold something she meant to sort through but never did. Helen isn't alone. Many seniors find themselves surrounded by things they no longer use, yet struggle to let go of them. It's not just about the stuff. It's about the memories attached to them, the "what if I need this later" thoughts, and the feeling that downsizing means giving something up. But what if decluttering could actually bring more peace, more space, and even more joy? That's exactly what Helen wants, to simplify her home so she can truly enjoy it again. But where does she even begin? That's where today's guide comes in. We're going room by room, showing you exactly what to let go of first to create a lighter, more peaceful home. And don't worry, you don't have to do it all at once. Small steps make a big difference. Do you ever feel like Helen? Let us know in the comments. And if you're ready to reclaim your space, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more practical tips to make life after 60 easy, healthier, and happier. Now, let's get started. Living room, clear the space for comfort. Helen starts in her living room, the heart of her home. It's where she relaxes, reads, and entertains guests. But lately it feels cramped and cluttered instead of cozy and inviting. Sound familiar? If so, here are the first things to tackle. Old magazines and newspapers. Helen loves flipping through magazines with her morning coffee. Over time, though, they've piled up on her coffee table, bookshelves, and even on a chair in the corner. Some are over a year old. Here's the problem. Magazines and newspapers attract dust, take up space, and often never get read again. If it's more than 6 months old, it's time to recycle it. If Helen finds an article or recipe she loves, she takes a picture with her phone and saves it digitally. Be honest, do you have stacks of old newspapers and magazines? Let us know in the comments. Worn-out throw pillows. Throw pillows are meant to add color, comfort, and style, but over time, they lose their fluff and start looking worn. Helen's couch is covered in throw pillows that are faded, lumpy, and even stained. Instead of making the space cozy, they make it look cluttered and tired. Here's the rule. If your throw pillows have lost their shape, are faded, or you haven't used them in years, it's time to replace or donate them. Helen swaps out a few of her old pillows for ones that are fresh, soft, and actually match her space. Instant upgrade. Excess decorative items. Helen has spent a lifetime collecting souvenirs, trinkets, and decorative pieces. Each one has a memory attached, but together they create a cluttered and overwhelming space. Too many small items make dusting a nightmare and can make the room feel chaotic instead of cozy. Instead of keeping everything, Helen asks herself, does this truly bring me joy? Would I miss it if it were gone? Is this making my space feel peaceful or cluttered? She chooses a few favorite decorative items, like a framed family photo and a vase from her travels, and stores or donates the rest. Now, her shelves and tables feel open, airy, and intentional. Try this. Take a quick look around your living room. Is there a shelf, table, or surface covered in small decorative items? Challenge yourself to remove half of them and see how much more open your space feels. Unused furniture. Helen's living room has an armchair that no one ever sits in. There's also a side table that's piled with unread mail and an old lamp that doesn't even work, and a bulky entertainment unit she never uses anymore. Extra furniture doesn't just take up space, it makes your home harder to navigate. As we age, a cluttered room can become a safety hazard, increasing the risk of tripping and falling. Helen decides to remove or repurpose the furniture she doesn't need. The result? More open space, easier movement, and a cleaner, more inviting atmosphere. Ask yourself, do you have a chair, table, or other furniture that just collects dust? If so, it might be time to let it go. Helen's living room already feels lighter and more inviting, but the real clutter culprit is hiding in the kitchen, and some of it could even be a health risk. Stick around, this next part might surprise you. Kitchen. Make cooking easier. After decluttering her living room, Helen moves into the kitchen, the heart of the home. But instead of feeling inspired to cook, she feels frustrated. The cabinets are overflowing, the drawers won't close properly, and finding the right lid for a container feels like a scavenger hunt. Sound familiar? The truth is, a cluttered kitchen makes cooking stressful. It's harder to find what you need, clean up quickly, and enjoy the space. So, let's simplify. Helen starts by clearing out 4 common culprits that are taking up unnecessary space. Expired pantry items. Helen opens her pantry and starts checking dates on cans, jars, and boxes that have been sitting there for years. Suddenly, 1 can of soup, expired 2 years ago, and the old bag of flour, way past its prime, stand out. Here's the reality. Most pantries have items that are expired, stale, or simply never used. Holding on to them just takes up valuable space. The solution? Check expiration dates and toss anything that's gone bad. Donate unopened, unexpired food you won't use to a local food bank, and organize by category so you can easily see what you have. Go ahead. Check a few dates in your pantry right now. Did you find anything expired? Let us know in the comments. Mismatched food containers. Helen's kitchen drawers are stuffed with plastic containers, but there's a problem. Half of them are missing lids, some have cracks, others are stained, and a few have warped from the microwave. It's frustrating every time she tries to pack leftovers. If you've got containers with no matching lids or lids with no matching bottoms, it's time to part ways. Decluttering hack. Match each container with its lid. If there's no match, it goes. Get rid of old, stained, or cracked containers. Stick to a few versatile sizes that stack easily. Helen pares down her collection to just a few high-quality matching sets, making storage easy and meal prep stress-free. Excess mugs and cups. Helen opens a cabinet and sees a mountain of mugs she doesn't even drink coffee from, yet she has over 20 mugs collected from trips, gifts, and events. The problem is, she only ever uses 3. Sound familiar? Mugs and cups tend to multiply over time, but keeping too many just makes the kitchen more cluttered. Helen sorts through them and keeps only her favorites, the ones she actually enjoys using. The rest she donates or repurposes. Try this. Take a look at your mug collection. How many do you actually use? Challenge yourself to cut it in half. Old cookware. Helen's pots and pans have seen better days. The non-stick pan is more scratched than its surface, and the old baking sheet is warped and rusting. Worn-out cookware isn't just annoying, it can also be a health risk. Scratched non-stick coatings can release harmful chemicals, and warped or rusted pans don't cook food evenly. How to declutter cookware. Toss anything with deep scratches, rust, or peeling non-stick coating. Keep only the pots and pans you actually use, and invest in 1 or 2 quality pieces instead of holding on to a dozen worn-out ones. Helen keeps her go-to frying pan, 1 good saucepan, and a sturdy baking sheet. Everything else is gone. Her cabinets are suddenly so much easier to navigate. Which kitchen item do you think is hardest to let go of? Drop a comment below. Helen's kitchen feels lighter already, but the next room is where clutter really sneaks up, and it can quickly get overwhelming. Let's head to the bedroom. Bedroom. A sanctuary for better sleep and peace of mind. Helen moves into her bedroom hoping for a sense of calm, but instead it feels cramped and chaotic. Closets are overflowing, shoes are scattered, and a nightstand is stacked with random items. Your bedroom should be a place of rest, not storage. If clutter is creeping in, it's time to clear the space and create a sanctuary. Clothes that don't fit or aren't worn. Helen opens her closet and sees rows of clothes she hasn't touched in years. Some are too tight, some are outdated, and others she's simply fallen out of love with, but still, they stay just in case. Here's the reality. If you haven't worn it in a year, you probably won't. Holding on to clothes out of guilt or what-ifs just makes it harder to find the ones you actually enjoy wearing. Decluttering hack. Try the hanger trick. Turn all your hangers backward. After wearing something, put it back normally. In 6 months, anything still on a backward hanger goes. Donate good-conditioned clothes to charities or shelters, and keep only the items that fit, flatter, and make you feel good. Be honest, how many unworn clothes are hanging in your closet right now? Tell us in the comments. Worn-out bedding. Helen pulls back the sheets and realizes her pillows are lumpy and her sheets are thinning. Over time, bedding wears out and can even harbor dust mites and allergens. For better sleep and a fresher feel, it's worth replacing old bedding. Replace pillows every 1 to 2 years for better support and hygiene. If sheets are peeling, tearing, or feel scratchy, upgrade to a fresh set. Declutter excess blankets. Keep only what you actually use. Helen swaps out her worn-out bedding for a crisp, comfortable set. The result is instantly more inviting and restful. Excess shoes. Helen glances at the pile of shoes in her closet. Heels she never wears, sneakers that pinch her toes, sandals with broken straps. Sound familiar? Shoes that hurt, don't fit, or just gather dust aren't worth keeping. Decluttering hack. Keep comfortable, supportive shoes you actually wear. Get rid of shoes that cause pain or have seen better days, and donate good condition pairs to those in need. Helen keeps just a few pairs of everyday favorites, and suddenly finding the right shoes is effortless. Costume jewelry you never wear? Jewelry boxes can be a hidden source of clutter. Helen finds pieces she bought on a whim, old costume jewelry that's tarnished, and gifts she never really liked. Instead of holding on to jewelry just because, keep only the special and meaningful pieces. If you never wear it, let it go. Pass down sentimental pieces to family members who would appreciate them, or donate or recycle broken or outdated pieces. Helen keeps her favorite sentimental pieces and donates the rest, making her jewelry box feel organized and intentional. With her bedroom finally clutter-free, Helen feels more at peace. But the next space is where clutter really loves to hide, and it can quickly get overwhelming. Let's talk about paper clutter. Home office, clear the space, clear the mind. Helen steps into her home office, expecting to tackle some light decluttering, only to be met with overflowing file folders, tangled cords, and a drawer full of dried-up pens. Paper clutter and forgotten gadgets are some of the hardest things to part with, but they pile up faster than we realize. A clutter-free workspace means less stress, better focus, and more room to enjoy the things that truly matter. Old bills and paperwork. Helen flips through stacks of old utility bills, bank statements, and outdated documents, most of which she hasn't touched in years. Here's the truth. Most paperwork doesn't need to take up space in your home. Digitize important documents by scanning and storing them securely, and shred old bills and sensitive paperwork that no longer serve a purpose. Keep only the essentials: tax records, legal documents, and medical records. What's the oldest piece of paperwork you found lying around? Let us know in the comments. Outdated electronics and cords. Helen opens a drawer and finds a tangled mess of mystery cables, an old flip phone, and a charger for a device she doesn't even own anymore. If you don't know what it belongs to, you don't need it. Match every cord to a device. If you can't, it's clutter. Recycle or donate old electronics instead of letting them collect dust. Use labeled organizers to store only the necessary chargers and accessories. Helen sorts through the mess, keeping just the essentials. Suddenly, her drawers aren't a black hole of forgotten tech, unused office supplies. Helen reaches for a pen, only to find half of them don't even work, while stacks of sticky notes, dried-up markers, and empty notebooks clutter her desk. Pens that don't work, stacks of sticky notes. Keep only what you use. Test all your pens and markers. If they don't work, toss them. Keep only a reasonable amount of sticky notes, notebooks, and office supplies, and donate excess supplies to schools or community centers. With a few simple changes, Helen's office transforms from a chaotic paper trap to a clean, functional space. Decluttering isn't just about clearing space. It's about clearing your mind. A clutter-free office means less stress, fewer distractions, and more time to focus on what matters. The next room. Let's head to the bathroom. Bathrooms simplify for safety. Helen moves to the bathroom, a small space that somehow collects more clutter than any other room. Expired medications, half-used toiletries, and stacks of old towels take up valuable space while also posing safety risks. A clutter-free bathroom isn't just about organization, it's about safety, hygiene, and ease of use. Expired medications. Helen checks her medicine cabinet and finds expired painkillers, old prescriptions, and half-empty bottles she forgot about. Outdated medications can be ineffective or even dangerous. Check expiration dates, discard anything expired, and dispose of medications safely. Never flush them, but take them to a pharmacy or a proper disposal site. Keep only necessary medications, storing them in a labeled, easy-to-access container. Have you ever found a shockingly old medication in your cabinet? Tell us in the comments. Half-used toiletries. Helen has half-empty shampoo bottles, dried-up lotions, and a collection of hotel soaps she'll never use. If it's collecting dust, it's just taking up space. Toss expired or dried-out products and use up half-full bottles before opening new ones. Donate unopened items to shelters if they're still good. Helen simplifies her routine, and suddenly her bathroom feels twice as spacious. Old towels. Helen's linen closet is stuffed with frayed, stained, and mismatched towels. She never reaches for fresh, soft towels. Tired, worn-out towels make daily routines less enjoyable. Keep only what you use regularly. Repurpose old towels for cleaning rags or pet bedding, and donate extras to animal shelters. With less clutter and more organization, Helen's bathroom now feels safe, fresh, and easy to navigate. With the kitchen, bedroom, office, and bathroom in order, Helen is almost done. But there's one last space where clutter loves to hide. It's time to tackle the garage. The garage, the final frontier of clutter. This space has become a catch-all for forgotten items, old tools, and sentimental things she can't quite let go of. But today, that changes. Decluttering the garage isn't just about making space. It's about reclaiming control over what truly matters. Broken or unused tools and gadgets. Helen finds a rusty drill, a box of tangled extension cords, and an old lawnmower that hasn't worked in years. She kept them thinking, I might need this one day. But the truth is, she never does. If it's broken and hasn't been repaired, let it go. If it's a duplicate, keep only the one you use most. Donate working tools to community programs or local repair shops. Realize that holding on to things just in case is really just delaying the inevitable. What's one tool or gadget in your garage that's collecting dust? Let us know in the comments. Sentimental clutter. Keep the memories, not the stuff. Helen takes a deep breath as she steps into the garage, the final frontier of clutter. This space has become a catch-all for forgotten items, old tools, and sentimental things she can't quite let go of. She sees boxes filled with old gifts, childhood toys, and keepsakes from loved ones. She holds on to a stack of birthday cards, an old wedding dress, and her children's artwork from decades ago. She wonders, if I get rid of this, am I letting go of the memories? But then she reminds herself, memories aren't in things, they're in her heart. Keep a few truly meaningful items. Digitize letters, photos, or artwork to preserve the memory without the clutter, and pass sentimental items down to family members who would appreciate them. Helen carefully selects a few treasures to keep and lets go of the rest, knowing that she isn't losing, she's gaining space, freedom, and peace. Helen stands in her living room, taking it all in. The clutter is gone. The space feels open, calm, and inviting. Gone are the piles of newspapers, the extra furniture no one used, and the stacks of forgotten trinkets. Now, every item in her home has a purpose. She walks into the kitchen. No more expired food, mismatched containers, or overcrowded drawers. Cooking feels simple again. In the bedroom, her closet holds only clothes she loves. Her bed is made with fresh, comfortable sheets, and it's finally the restful retreat she's wanted. Most importantly, Helen feels lighter. She realizes that decluttering isn't just about getting rid of things. It's about making space for peace, for clarity, for a home that truly feels like home again. Small changes lead to big transformation. Less clutter means more freedom. A peaceful home starts with one small decision: letting go. What's one room in your home you'd love to declutter first? Let us know in the comments. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button and share it with a friend who needs a fresh start.